For over a decade, this rivalry was the single greatest story in sports. One, a god in Barcelona, the other, a king in Madrid. It was the foundation of modern football. But what if I told you this entire rivalry was a lie, and that in another timeline, it never happened at all? The year is 2009. The world of football is on its knees, worshipping at the altar of Pep Guardiola's Barcelona, a team that didn't just win the sextuple, but redefined the game with its tiki-taka philosophy. At its heart, a 22-year-old Argentinian magician, Lionel Messi, who had just won his first Ballon d'Or. Meanwhile, as Real Madrid's president, was on a mission to reclaim the footballing throne. Humiliated by years of Barcelona's dominance, he initiated Project Galácticos 2.0, spending €250 million in a single summer to acquire titans like Kaká, Xabi Alonso, Karim Benzema, and the reigning Ballon d'Or winner, Cristiano Ronaldo. His goal was to build a team so powerful it could topple an empire. But history tells us about the players he did sign. It doesn't tell us about the one move he dreamed of. The one transfer so audacious, so impossible, it would have been more than a signing. It would have been a declaration of war. What if, in that summer of giants, Florentino Perez had done the unthinkable and signed Lionel Messi? Part 1. The White Empire, forging an unbeatable weapon. The immediate result would have been the single most terrifying attacking lineup in history. Forget trios. This was a quartet of footballing gods. Imagine the tactical puzzle for then-manager Manuel Pellegrini and later Jose Mourinho. A potential 4-2-2-2 formation emerges. Ronaldo and Benzema as a fluid striking pair, with Kaká and Messi operating behind them as dual attacking midfielders, given free roles to drift, create, and destroy. The sheer offensive output would have been astronomical. Messi, cutting in from the right onto his left foot, Ronaldo, an explosive force from the left. The power, the speed, the creativity, it would have been an avalanche of goals. But what about the egos? The Real Madrid locker room of that era was a delicate ecosystem of legends like Iker Casillas, Sergio Ramos, and the club's icon Raúl. The arrival of Ronaldo already shifted the dynamic. The simultaneous arrival of their arch-nemesis, Messi, would have been a seismic shock. Would they have united for glory? Or would the clash of personalities have created a beautiful, chaotic implosion? Most likely, the sheer weight of their combined talent would have crushed all opposition. The records they would have broken are staggering to consider. An invincible season in La Liga, the first team to win back-to-back, even 3-in-a-row Champions Leagues, years before Zidane achieved it as a coach. It wouldn't have just been possible, it would have been expected. Part 2. The Fall of Catalunya, a kingdom without its king. For Barcelona, this wasn't a transfer, it was an extinction-level event. The departure of Luis Figo in 2000 was seen as the ultimate betrayal, but this would have been on another level entirely. To lose the crown jewel of your academy, the living embodiment of your club's philosophy, to your most hated rival, the city of Barcelona would have burned with an unquenchable fire. Pep Guardiola's entire tactical revolution was built around Messi as the false nine, a system designed to maximize his unique genius. Without that centerpiece, the entire project would crumble. The tiki-taka machine would lose its most vital gear. Think of Xavi and Iniesta, the master puppeteers. They would still be world-class, but their art was in finding Messi. Their telepathic connection was the stuff of legend. Without their primary target, their dominance in midfield would still be there, but would it have been as historically decisive? Barcelona would have received a world record transfer. Its very soul would have been sold to the enemy. Part 3. Civil War of the Gods, the Ronaldo-Messi partnership. And now, the ultimate what-if. The rivalry that defined a generation of fans, that split households and friendships, would be transformed into a partnership. On the pitch, it could have been perfection. Messi's low center of gravity, his impossible dribbling and vision, paired with Ronaldo's raw athleticism, his aerial dominance, and his ruthless finishing. They are two different answers to the same question. What does the perfect attacker look like? But off the pitch, the battle for supremacy would have been fascinating. The Ballon d'Or ceremonies would no longer be a duel between two clubs, but an internal affair at Real Madrid. Would their shared success have led to a mutual respect, or would the constant comparison, now within the same team, have created an even more intense, focused rivalry? It's possible the vote splitting between them could have even allowed a third player, like Wesley Sneijder in 2010 or Xavi, to finally win the award they deserved. The GOAT debate as we know it would be dead. It would be replaced by a new, even more complex question. Who was more important to the most dominant team in history, Messi or Ronaldo? Conclusion: a beautiful, broken timeline. In this alternate timeline, Real Madrid would have become more than a club. They would have become a monument to footballing perfection, a dynasty to dwarf all others. Barcelona would have been forced to rebuild from the ashes, its golden era potentially stolen before it truly began. The world would have witnessed the greatest team ever assembled, but it would have been denied its greatest story, a story of two kings in two separate castles on opposite sides of a fierce divide, fighting for the same crown. And perhaps that's the ultimate lesson. Sometimes history, in its beautiful, chaotic imperfection, writes the most compelling tales of all. But beyond the trophies and the shattered records, what else would have been lost in this alternate reality? Would the very essence of football, the passion fueled by fierce rivalry, have diminished? The Clásico, stripped of its ultimate titans battling across the midfield divide, might have become just another big game rather than the global spectacle it is today. Would we have seen fewer iconic moments, fewer unforgettable individual battles that pushed both players to unprecedented heights? Perhaps, in this imagined perfection, a crucial spark would have been extinguished. The relentless pursuit of surpassing the other, the sheer will to be the best against the other, is what arguably forged these two into legends. It's a challenge born from opposition, a greatness born from constant provocation. Without that mirror held up by a fierce competitor on the opposing side, would Messi and Ronaldo have achieved the same staggering individual statistics, the same relentless drive to shatter every record? So, as we return to our own timeline, where two kings indeed reigned in separate castles, we might find a new appreciation. An appreciation for the struggle, the friction, the beautiful, brutal competition that shaped the greatest era in football history. Sometimes, the story isn't just about winning everything. It's about the fight to win anything at all.